Good evening. This video is going to be about chat, alpha widow, and can you as a man be assured that the woman that you will marry will give you the best sex she's ever given a man? Because some guys in the Manosphere talk about how a woman has really wild sex with, the Chad, the hot guy she's just fucking, and then she settles for the beta bucks guy and she gives him dribbles. Is this really true? Maybe, but I have a few things to say about it. First of all, I'm going to link in the description a video I made that's a longer video going into this topic called Good Wife Sex that I made a few weeks ago. But I'm going to circle around it again a little bit more succinctly, specifically addressing that is the person you're marrying going to give you something that they've never given anyone else? Are they going to share with you everything? Are you going to get all of them and the best of them? And the answer is, I don't know. Here are some things to consider. There is a lot of sex shaming in our society, and we are told, men and women are told that women should be these, pure virgins that withhold their sexuality from every man until this Prince Charming comes along and unleashes her wild sexuality, and she does all these crazy things with him. And that is a myth. That is, I'm going to say, not impossible, but it's going to be rare, because read this book, Pure, and you'll get an idea of how, I know I got my nails done today. However we're programmed to think how we should be and the parts of ourselves we should suppress, that's deeply ingrained. So these women that are taught to be virgins and all this, I don't know if they'll ever go around and just be this wild thing in bed saying like, fuck my ass, come all over me or whatever, come on my face. I don't know if these church-going women will ever be that. So that's something you have to consider. In fact, when I see a client whose wife doesn't want to even give him a blowjob, it's usually because she was religious, or there's some kind of sex shaming, or there was some sexual abuse, because that seems like a very basic sexual activity to me. So if a woman doesn't even want to give a blowjob, she's never given a blowjob. But now, the same, so that's one thing to consider. You men want this ideal virgin that's going to be unleashed for you. And we women want this Prince Charming who gets all the women and smashes all the women, and no one can tame him but us. So either way, there's a fantasy, and I think we have to get real. Another fantasy is, I'm looking for this person to give me something, some adoration, love, validation, good sex, or whatever. And while we have to be choosy in who we let into our lives, I really think we have to approach relationships more from the place of giving rather than scarcity and being so afraid. Because guess what? You're never going to have all of another person. You cannot merge with another person. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the airplane and some guy sitting next to me is just telling me his life story that he can't tell anyone. Why? Not because I'm so special, because I'm a stranger. I remember years ago, I was still married at the time. I was sitting next to this gentleman on a flight, and he told me that, at that time I was still really in love with my husband, and we were talking about relationships and marriage. And he shared with me that he was no longer sexually attracted to his wife because she had gained so much weight, but he couldn't tell her because it would be too upsetting to her. And likewise, the guys who watch porn in secret, because we ladies get very jealous. You like her better than me because we don't get you're just using that to get turned on. So, are you ever going to know everything that your partner is thinking? You won't. So this idea of, I'm going to get all of this person that no one ever had, you're never going to get all of another person. We don't even all each know ourselves. And there are parts of ourselves we don't want to share with our partner. Why? Because there is too much to lose. And that's why I tell guys, you think you're the beta box because she won't fuck you right away. She's fucking this guy, but not you. Why? Because you're of more value and you don't get it. You think you're of less value because you're not getting the pussy. But you're of more value because she knows that, first of all, she doesn't want you to just rail and bail or whatever. She doesn't want to take that chance with you. Second, she wants you to respect her, and you won't if she has sex with you right away. Let's see. I had a message come in. I got distracted. The reason she won't have sex with you right away if she likes you is because she cares what you think. With some random guy, she's just fucking, she doesn't give a shit. I can do this, I can do that, I can be all weird, sexy and whatever. But you might judge me. You might judge me. So I'm not going to do those wild things with you. You might look down on me, disrespect me, think I'm a slut. And it's precisely the guys that shame women for having a high body count. I'm talking to you. You guys, I'm just going to lay it out there with love. You know, if I'm with a guy who's concerned about a high body count, first of all, I wouldn't even be able to date him. But second, my whole sexuality that's like this is going to become like this. Because if you are that worried about my sexual history, and if you're that threatened by my sexuality, or my sexuality is so off-putting to you, I don't want you to know about it. Okay? I don't want you to know about it because I want you to think highly of me. And that's why when people are in relationships, they will often turn off a huge part of themselves because they're afraid of losing their partner. So one tip, you guys, you can never, just realize the trade-off you're making the moment you don't share with your partner how you feel, what you think, what you like sexually, and you start making yourself a narrow version of yourself in any way at all. You're trapping yourself. You're trapping yourself, but people trap themselves because they want the person that they like to accept them, whether it's your employer, your family, your partner. So we silence a part of ourselves to be accepted, and that's the other book I want to show you. I wrote my books. I made a video about this, a longer video, The Erotic Silence of the American Wife. And these women, it's all based on interviews, they didn't cheat on their husbands because they were emotionally dissatisfied. They cheated because they did the good wife thing. This is the kind of sex I have with my husband. Good wife sex, good girl sex, missionary position. I don't do anything wild or crazy. I don't ask, him to come on my face, or I don't know, whatever they wanted to do. They trapped themselves. And therefore, in order to feel free, they ended up having an affair. That's what I tell a lot of guys, just like to see escorts or something. Sometimes they just want to do something where they can feel free because they're so goody-goody all the time. They're trapped at work, trapped in their family life, trapped by society. And sex is the one place, you guys, other than the gym and the workout, where we can just be physically free. And we trap ourselves to get approval. Now, it's not just women doing that. Men do it too. I mean, I already gave you the example of the man in the airplane not wanting to tell his wife that she was fat, too fat. It would upset her. He's got to live with her. But it's sexually too. I talked in that video about a client I had. He was over here because his girlfriend was out of town. I'm changing the details. She was out of town. And I'm like, I thought you were married. He's like, I am. But he fucks the girlfriend in a way he can't fuck the wife, because the wife is going to be the mother of his children, or is the mother of his children. I'm changing the details here. With her, he has very polite sex. With the mistress, he goes all out and fucks her wild and crazy. Crazier than I even let him do. Men do it too. Men come to me with these fantasies. I have, a fantasy. I want you to poop on me. I want to go down on you when you're all sweaty. I want you to pee on me. I want to, rim your ass. My wife doesn't let me play with her ass. I don't want to ask. I want to do a role play, mom-son role play, secretary role play. I can't ask my wife. Men do it too. The manosphere is, this is what I think about the manosphere. I'm going to lay it out straight. The only people in the manosphere worth taking seriously as being positive are the guys that are in a relationship, because the incels are all negative. The game players, the fuckboys, the pickup artists are just wounded. They use women for sex, and they're very guarded. They have all this hatred towards women. Women abuse them. You can't trust a woman. She'll take your money. She won't give you the best sex. There's always a Chad. You want to go way younger. And these guys are angry and they're players, and I don't like their energy. And I don't think they're being very helpful unless you want to be a pickup artist. But if you want to graduate, okay, so you're in the blue pill. That's like you don't understand women. Then you take the red pill, or maybe I got that mixed up. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you wake up to the nature of women, to hypergamy and all this stuff. And then you can go in one of two ways. You can either be black-pilled, where you're an incel, or I guess you could be like a pickup artist, take it and just play women. Or you can be white-pilled, I think I got this right, and you can understand that women, we like men who are physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy, and our feminine energy is brought out when you are providing and you make us feel safe and secure. There are some good channels in the manosphere space. I especially like Good Bro, Bad Bro. I don't like 333 Secrets. I think he's very negative. There are a lot of guys that are very negative. They see women, they're like, spin plates, and women will only greet you at the finish line. That's so negative. That's wounded men talking. So I'm giving you a different perspective, because my sons, my ex-husband, are not wounded men. I have a different way of seeing men, okay? And I know a lot of men had bad moms and whatever, but okay. So say that you're going out with a woman and she's had other sexual partners and she was wild and crazy with them. Good for you, because now you're going to have a woman who's really sexual. Or say that she is a virgin. Good for you. Whatever woman you like. This is what you can do to gain some control of your sexual situation with your woman, and you have to do it right off the bat. Right off the bat, any kind of judgment you have around her sexuality, she's going to feel it and she's going to shut it down. So, if she starts noticing that you're jealous of her past boyfriends, and honestly, you might be, but she's going to pick up on that. Or you're worried about her body count, she's going to pick up on that. Even if she's a virgin, the message is going to be, my sexuality is bad. He thinks it's bad. I am going to keep it close to the vest and not get too wild. This is the signal, and we pick up on that, guys. And then we are going to be very prim and proper in bed. Now, you don't want some woman with no standards, okay? This is what I would not date any woman who's got an Instagram and who's flaunting her body and walking around in skimpy outfits. A woman worthy of a relationship should be very modest. And I don't think it matters so much what she did before, because you can't help that, but maybe it matters to you. But I'm telling you, she's going to pick up on those signals. And another thing you can do, okay, you got to get comfortable with your own sexuality and a woman's sexuality and not be so afraid. When you have sex with her, from the very first time, you've got to ask her, when you first meet her, you got to already ask her, like, how often does she masturbate? Just start having an open sexual dialogue and celebrate her sexuality. Celebrate that she has her periods. Celebrate everything about her body so that she feels sexually accepted by you. I think that's very important for men and women. We women have to do that for men also. And when you first have sex with her, this is a tip I learned from a guy who's a sex educator. Never slept with him, but he taught me this tip. First time he has sex with a woman, he says, "What's your nasty? What's your nasty?" He creates from the very beginning this open space. Whatever your nastiest thing is, bring it to me, I want it. Because if you don't do it, if you just start out in the missionary position and you're very polite, it's really hard to get out of it. Even me as an escort, it's really hard to get out of that trap of, I gotta be a good girl, my sexuality is bad. We are so trained in our society that our sexuality is bad. And one gift I give to my guys that come over here, one gift I give them is I totally accept them for who they are. And I tell them, this is a safe space for you. Safe space for you, for your sexuality. Your sexuality here is honored and wanted and desired. It's wanted and desired. Where can a man go where he's told his sexuality is wanted and desired? Because it's judged every fucking where else. Now, fortunately, these guys are all very respectful. I mean, I wouldn't want some guy to do something non-consensual to me. But a lot of guys even make no sound in bed. No sound in bed. I was once dating a guy who made no sound in bed. He was perfectly quiet. The only reason I knew he came is because he stopped thrusting and I felt, I don't want to go into details because I'm not trying to turn anyone on. But one time I happened to hear him masturbating. I think I was studying or something. This was years ago. And he was very loud. And I felt hurt because that part of his sexuality that made sounds wasn't something he shared with me. Guys, you want a woman to share all of her sexuality with you. Are you sharing all of your sexuality with her? Did you tell her you have a mom-son role-play fantasy? Did you tell her that, you have a fantasy about peeing on a woman or whatever it is? You guys have crazy fantasies, especially guys. They're just wild. Do you share those? You share everything? I don't think so. I'm going to say I don't think so. And this whole manosphere idea of, a woman has given her best to these chads, whatever a chad is. I don't have any fucking chads in my life. I don't even know. It's a lot of just the whole framework of it, I think, is so toxic. This is what I will say. All of us, after the age of, 20, we have had sexual partners and we've been in love. There have been other partners before you. Okay, when I start dating a guy, I already know that I can't look for him to complete me or reassure me or validate me. I have to give that to myself. He's going to have had other women he fucked. And guess what? A lot of these other women are going to be more orgasmic than I am. Some of these women were easier to orgasm than I was. Maybe they squirted. Maybe they orgasm from penetration. Maybe they're just a lot kinkier in bed. Maybe they like Greek. Maybe they have multiple orgasms. Maybe they love threesomes. Maybe they like to watch porn. All these things. They have bigger breasts. They have whatever. They get wetter. I can't bring my insecurities to that. I can get insecure too. So when you're worried about some chat, you're being insecure. You're thinking that your dick game doesn't measure up. And maybe it's not as good as the other guy. I know that there are men who talk about, this woman, I love women who squirt. Okay, I don't squirt. Does that mean I shouldn't date you because your last girlfriend squirted and I don't? So now I feel like I could never date you. Or, or you like big tits and mine are small. So I'm always going to feel insecure. We have to make peace with who we are and what's in front of us. And these insecurities that you guys have, I have them too. How does my belly look? It's got these little folds, I got my little folds here, how I got my wrinkles. You know, how do I look when I'm giving you a blowjob and look in your eyes? I got all these wrinkles. I have those insecurities too. And I don't know if I'm the best in bed from every guy that my guy has ever been with. But I do know that men don't leave a woman because she doesn't give them a blowjob. There's a lot more to relationships than sex. Now, if you want your woman to be wildly sexual with you, you got to bring it out by loving her sexuality, telling her it's welcome, that it's wanted, and creating a safe space for it. That's what I think. And I think the Manosphere, a lot of these guys have run through old stories about why women can hurt you and let you down. And I think it's a good counterpoint to some of you guys to listen to videos of men who are in relationships where it's actually working, because you're focusing on the negative. What about Dark Horse podcast? I like listening to them. It's Brett Weinstein and his wife, and they've been married a long time. I don't know what their sex life is like, but look at how well they interact together, how well they collaborate on their podcast, and how they interrupt each other so respectfully, and they really listen to each other. You know, that's a lot of what a relationship is about. I've had sex with a lot of guys, and I remember some of them being really good in bed. But I don't know if they were good in bed every time, because every guy has his good days and his bad days. Because I tell you this, there were guys that were amazing in bed once or twice, and then they were a dud. I've never been with a guy who rocked my world in bed every time. And I've had sex with a lot of men. So I think there's this myth about this chat. Like, what the hell is even a chat? And I don't want to date those guys. I never even had feelings for them. Now, when I was married, I didn't do a lot of things sexually. That's not because I didn't want to, because my husband didn't want to. And that was one of the reasons I left him, you know. It wasn't just that sexual things were like, he wasn't that interested in sex. He used it as a way to get off, and he brought no emotional content to it. And I will tell you this, if your woman is attracted to you and feels loved and turned on by you, I mean, what else do you want? I get the idea that, you know, some woman gave the best years of her life to someone else. I don't know what to tell you. I think we all have a history. Every guy I'm going to date is going to have had his heart broken by another woman. And, you know, he's had his cock in another pussy that was maybe wetter than mine, tighter than mine, more productive in terms of orgasms and squirting than mine, you know? But I gotta look at today, right now. Who am I and who is he right now in this moment? So many people are just living in the past. You guys need to do some mindfulness stuff, like living in the now. What do we create now? And I'm not going to measure up to every woman. Maybe this last girlfriend was a better cook or got along better with his mother, you know, or maybe she made better sandwiches, or she had prettier hair. I'm not going to worry about that stuff. I am going to live in the now. And I hope that those of you, so just to sum it up, what I want to say to those of you guys who are worried that a woman will not give you the best, don't date sluts. Okay, look for someone who's modest in how she dresses and is around other men. She should not be flirting with other men. Second, create a sexually accepting space. Accept her sexuality and know that you're never going to have all of another person, that there will be people in her past and in his past who may have had a bigger cock, a smaller cock, but it hit in just the right place, you know? I had a friend once who told me that she was dating this guy who he was a very horrible guy, very horrible person, not good for a relationship at all. He had no job, and he was neglectful and a little bit abusive and all this. But his cock, there was something about it. She said, I can't explain it. But when he was inside of me, it was like a magic wand, like a firework. She goes, I don't know. It wasn't the size. It wasn't even very big. How do you explain that? You know, but did she want to date him? No. So I think it's good for people to look at their insecurities in this regard. And I can tell you that when I've talked to guys and they're like, yeah, I like my last girlfriend, she squirted and she had so many orgasms. And I'm like, I'm never going to date you because I can't give you that. And I don't want to feel like second fiddle. So, I'm human too. I hope this video has been helpful. Again, I'm going to recommend, a lot of how we view our sexuality is how we were brought up. And this book, Pure, really brings it to light. It's about how inside the evangelical movement that shamed a generation of young women and how I broke free. So we got to break free of the sex shaming. And that's what a lot of this is, these women hooking up. They're breaking free of the sex shaming they grew up with. They're rebelling against it. And then guys go around saying they're sluts, but you wanted me to, you don't want me to be, you don't want me to have any sex, but you want me to be wild in bed for you. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So if you want a virgin, you're probably going to get someone who isn't going to be very wild. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Like those gals on the Duggars, those evangelical women, are they wild in bed? I don't know. The Mormon women, are they wild in bed? You want to think they are, but I doubt it. I think they have too much shame. But I could be wrong. I don't know. The Erotic Silence of the American Wife. Really good book to understand why these women cheated. They were not unhappy in their relationships. They had trapped themselves by trying to be the good girl who isn't too wild in bed. Because that's what you guys want. You guys say you want us to be wild in bed with you. But if we're wild in bed, you're going to say that we're too slutty. So a lot of women have made the decision that fuck that, I'm going to do me, and you take it or leave it. And that's where we get our attitude. But I think it's really important to be like, you know what? I'm going to do me, and I'm going to be sweet, and this is who I am. And we have to integrate it and just come from a sweet space and take people where they are today and not be so worried about somebody's past, because everybody has a past. Maybe they filed for bankruptcy, or they had a drug addiction, or they, whatever, their sexual history, their sexual partners, that their heart's broken. I mean, I could easily say I'm never going to date a guy who was in love before me. I want him to have loved only me. And I'll never date a guy who watches porn. That is ridiculous too. I want to be in a place where I'm not threatened by somebody's past, and I can just love who they are today. Do I like this person today? Do I like how they are today? Do I like how they are in their life with other people, what they have going on, and how they are with me today? What have they built? What's their work like? Their work ethic, their colleagues, their friends, their clients? Like, what is their life about today? What kind of person are they? What are their values today? That's what I focus on. And the Manosphere has a very different framework. I just really think a lot of it is very negatively said, in my opinion. And also the one about the guys not wanting women to work. Only about 10 or 15% of people make over $100,000 a year, and 1/3 of them are women. So, only 5 or 6% of men make over $100,000 a year, and a lot of those are going to already be in their 40s or 50s. So I don't really see, unless you make over $100,000 a year, there's no way you can support a woman. I mean, my rent in my apartment complex, a 2-bedroom now, is $3,000. So that's already $36,000 a year just for rent. Now you add food for 2 people, and you add utilities and cell phone. You're talking at least $60,000 before you even added a car or car insurance or transportation. So unless you guys can make a lot of money like that, how can you afford to pay for a woman? She obviously needs to work, and so her career is going to be very important. And the Manosphere guys just want some young woman they can bang without paying for anything other than a good time and some drinks. I don't hear them talking about marriage. I don't hear them talking about relationships or providing or children, because children are a burden. When my kids were in high school, we had a number of exchange students, and we also had a foster child who lived with us briefly. And I treated each of those kids like one of my own. that one woman lived with us for a year in high school because she got kicked out from her foster home. And my daughter was jealous because I treated her like my own. I will not treat a child less. That was not her fault. I would take in another child now. I don't get the thing of I'm not going to raise someone's child. I don't get that mentality. I just don't get it. These guys are coming from pain and wounds. In my opinion, they're coming from pain and wounds. You know, women are bad, children are bad, you know, don't date anyone over 25, chats, alpha bucks, whatever. You know, it's just a completely different framework. I stop watching them. Sometimes they pop up and I kind of look and I'm like, this is just negative. This is not helping me. Check out Good Bro, Bad Bro. They are all about helping men level up and get women, and they're both in relationships, and they're both masculine men that used to be players and now they're in a relationship. And I think those are the only men worth listening to, in my opinion. And I'm 60, so I have a lot of opinions. But hey, I'm agreeable. I'm agreeable. Basically, that's what I learned from my business is men don't want my opinion. So on my Twitter now, I don't give my opinions anymore. I'm just this agreeable, you know, bimbo, I guess, what they want. Anyway, thanks to you guys for watching my video.